Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you. That's depending where you are in the world. I'm here live in London. We're doing our nighttime devotion. The devotional is called Conflict and Courage. The title today, Human Boasting. 1 Samuel 17 verse 10. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When war was declared by Israel against the Philistines, 3 of the sons of Jesse joined the army under Saul. But David remained at home. After a time, however, he went to visit the camp of Saul. By his father's direction, he was to carry a message and a gift to his elder brothers and to learn if they were still in safety and health. As David drew near to the army, he heard the sound of commotion as if an engagement was about to begin. Goliath, the champion of the Philistines, came forth and with insulting language defied Israel and challenged them to provide a man from their ranks who would meet him in single combat. For 40 days, the host of Israel had trembled before the haughty challenge of the Philistine giant. Their hearts failed within them as they looked upon his massive form, in height measuring 6 cubits and a span. Upon his head was a helmet of brass. He was clothed with a coat of mail that weighed 5,000 shekels, and he had greaves of brass upon his legs. The coat was made of plates of brass that overlaid one another, like the scales of a fish, and they were so closely joined that no dart or arrow could possibly penetrate the armor. At his back, the giant bore a huge javelin, or lance, also of brass. The staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him. Israel did not defy Goliath, but Goliath made his proud boasts against God and his people. The defying, the boasting, the railing must come from the opposers of truth who act the Goliath. But none of his spirit should be seen in those whom God had sent forth to proclaim the last message of warning to a doomed world. Goliath trusted in his armor. He terrified the armies of Israel by his defiant, savage boastings, while he made a most imposing display of his armor, which was his strength. Human boasting. So Goliath was a giant. He was of the Philistines, and Saul and his army, including 3 of Jesse's sons, all went to go to war with them, but nothing had happened, nothing had been engaged as yet. And before Saul could go and engage with them, supposedly Goliath decided to step forth and challenge any one of the Israel men to fight him in single combat. Goliath was huge. He was a giant, big, strong, apparently. And then it goes into much detail of his armor. And it goes into detail of his armor because he was covered from head to toe in what seems to be brass, but done in such a way that he could bend and move. Excuse me. And the point of going into detail about the armor is because Goliath really could not be touched by any weapon, arms, legs, body, because his armor covered him all over. And it does say at the bottom, Goliath trusted in his armor. I'm not going to go into too much more detail with this because I know the more will come out in further devotions. But the interesting point here is for 40 days. For 40 days, the Israel's men, they stood off and would not challenge or would step up to the challenge of Goliath. 40 days. 40 is a very significant number. You've got 40 days. How long was Jesus in the wilderness when he received the Holy Spirit? 40 days and nights. How long was Moses in the wilderness when he came out of Egypt? 40 years. The Israelites would not engage. So this is like a wilderness experience. They were lost because they were scared. They didn't know what to do. And of course, it didn't seem to appear to them to want to challenge. They didn't seem to want to appear that they would consult God, go to God. For 40 days. Of course, I'm not going to say any more because more will be said in further devotions. But I beseech you to read Ephesians 6, 10 to 18. Goliath trusted in his armor of brass. We should read Ephesians 6, 10 to 18 and trust in the armor of God.